Like everybody and this dog knows that silver at 10, 20, 50, $100 is absolutely ridiculous because, this has been suppressed for, most of my adult life, and I'm 77 years old. And nobody knows what the true free market price of silver, gold, platinum, or palladium are because they've been effectively suppressed for the last 50 plus years. And what we're seeing is the end of this price management scheme by the Western central financial system against the rising power of China, Russia, India, and the rest of the BRICS nations. And like I said, this is geopolitical overtones, and as far as where the price could end up from here, I have no idea, but it's going to be a very, very impressive three-digit number before this is all over. Well, I would say another $200 or $300 to go in the price before this thing ends. And if we see a blow-off top, it could go even higher than that for a brief period of time. Once we get above $100, we'll never see a two-digit silver price again.
The precious metals market has just entered a parabolic phase that is catching the world by surprise. As of January 2026, gold has surged to record territory near $4,600 per ounce, while silver has exploded, gaining over 25% in just the first 2 weeks of the year to trade around $88. With major banks now forecasting gold to reach $5,000 and silver pushing toward the $100 milestone, a massive short squeeze and a perfect storm of industrial demand and central bank buying are dismantling decades of price suppression. In this episode, we sit down with veteran analyst EdSteer, founder of EdSteer's Gold and Silver Digest, who has tracked these markets for over 50 years. Steer argues that the Western price management scheme is finally collapsing as physical demand from the BRICS nations and Shanghai overrides the paper futures market. He predicts silver soaring 200 to 300 higher and warns of a historic short squeeze. He reveals why he believes silver is remonetizing and why, once it crosses $100, we may never see a two-digit price again. Watch to find out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable notifications for additional in-depth content. Thanks for joining us again. Enjoy the video.
Well, this has been going on for a while now. I report the price premium of the U.S. dollar, the Shanghai price premium over the U.S. dollar price in my column every day, and that sounds about right. The price is set in the COMEX futures market, but the boys in Shanghai are trading that, and they're driving the price up. They are now setting the price of the commodity, but it's being set in the COMEX futures market. And I expect, that the price will continue to rise, and there's absolutely no reason why it shouldn't. They're driving the price, and it will stay that way for the foreseeable future. Look, we're in the middle of something right now. We're looking at a parabolic everything except for the stocks. And to say exactly how this is going to turn out and how high it's going to go in Shanghai and whether or not they're going to put in export controls on silver is unknown. They have all the tools in place to say, look, we're going to put a squeeze on silver like they did on the rare earths to the U.S. and to the rest of the West. So, the geopolitical games that are being played right now, I get the impression they're starting to show up in the silver market. And I wrote a piece about that a year and a half ago called Silver, a weapon of financial mass destruction with a question mark at the end. Well, that was before, the U.S. put the silver on the strategic minerals list, and before Shanghai or Beijing came along and put on the export controls for silver. So everything is in place, okay, on the grand chessboard of the precious metals right now for this thing to go absolutely ballistic. Everybody and this dog knows that silver at 10, 20, 50, $100 is absolutely ridiculous because, this has been suppressed for, most of my adult life, and I'm 77 years old. And nobody knows what the true free market price of silver, gold, platinum, or palladium are because they've been effectively suppressed for the last 50 plus years. And what we're seeing is the end of this price management scheme by the Western central financial system against the rising power of China, Russia, India, and the rest of the BRICS nations. And like I said, this is geopolitical overtones, and as far as where the price could end up from here, I have no idea, but it's going to be a very, very impressive three-digit number before this is all over, and we're well on the way. Well, it certainly appears that way, and we're in the middle of it. Ask me 6 months. Ask me 6 months from now when this is all over. Because if this continues the way it is, it's not going to take long. I mean, we're looking at a parabolic move like that's unbelievable, and I just don't know how this is going to play out. I mean, all I know is that at the end of the road is a very impressive 3-digit silver price. My only prayer right now for you, me, and everybody listening to this pod or watching this podcast is that sooner or later the powers that be are going to allow it to be reflected in the price of the silver stocks, because that's what we're invested in this thing for. But right now they're sitting on them hard, and everybody would be a lot happier today if they was the shares were reflecting what the value of the silver price is and how fast it's going up. But that's not being allowed to happen. But one thing I can rest assured about is they can't keep this up forever, because once silver does break through, let's say $100, I mean, it's going to be obvious that the miners are being suppressed and everybody's going to start piling into them. But right now, we're in the grips of this price suppression scheme, and now in the precious metal stocks, not in the metal itself. If somebody told me this was going to happen, I would never have believed them. You couldn't make this up. There's no way you can make this up. It's just unbelievable to watch. When will you know it's over? He says, well, when you see the price going up $5-10 a day, then you'll know it's done. Okay, that the price management scheme is coming to an end. They may try to control it. Okay. Because they still have lots of power and lots of money where they could step into the market. And we saw it, in December and back in October and in April and everything else. So they can still step in. But basically, this price management scheme that's been ongoing in the West financial system is, we're watching it come to an end in real time right now.
Are you still stacking silver at these prices, Ed?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I was looking on my one of the bullion places whose prices I quote and I look at and to keep track of what it costs. And a silver maple leaf right now is $129 or $131. And I said, I don't think so, because I remember buying these things when they were like $15. So I have I've been buying physical silver since 1997 or 1998. So I have lots. I also have lots of stocks. So no, I'm not buying silver, but there are lots of people out there that are and will be soon as the price continues to go higher. But at $93 US an ounce right now, there's still, I would say, another $200 or $300 to go in the price before this thing ends. And if we see a blow off top, it could go even higher than that for a brief period of time. But somewhere along the way, and like I said before, is that I haven't got Keith Neumeyer's triple-digit T-shirt on, but one of these days it's going to be a very impressive price, and it'll settle there, and it will stay there. It's never going to go back. Once we get above $100, we'll never see a 2-digit silver price again. I look at the RSI indicators on the charts too, and they're not hugely overbought. They are now, but we're in the middle of something else that's had nothing to do with technical analysis. You can forget technical analysis. You can throw it out. And like I've been saying for the last couple of months in the Commitment of Traders reports, you can throw that out the window too. I look at it for, reference purposes, see if there's any short covering going on, this and that, and the whole 9 yards. But as I've been saying, every week, I said, you can look at these numbers all you want, but they really don't mean anything anymore. This price management scheme is unwinding, and you can look at all the COT charts that you want. They're meaningless. RSI is meaningless. Oversold, overbought, the whole 9 yards. That's all out the window now that we're in this. This is a short squeeze that they're going to be talking about if the Earth is still around and we're still here alive on it, hundreds of years from now. Well, I watch it and I post the 10-year yield in my column every day, but that's not what I'm watching. What we're watching here is gold, silver, and all the other precious metals remonetizing themselves. There was a story out the other day that there's more gold is worth more there's more gold held now than in U.S. treasuries. So, it's the number one financial asset of choice, and it's a tier one asset that the BIS, they know what's happening. And silver's remonetizing itself as well. I mean, I have a silver dollar. We used to have silver dollars. You got silver dollars in the U.S. I mean, a dollar was a dollar back in the 1960s, and my grandfather would give me one for Christmas every year. And I look at it now, and there's like $80, $90 worth of silver in it. So, the metals are remonetizing themselves, and the fiat currency system that we've been on since Nixon took us off the gold exchange standard back in August 71, this is all coming to an end. And sooner or later, the precious metals are going to be money again. If they're money now, okay? The banks and the financial system aren't about to admit it. But this grand experiment, the first time in history where the whole world's been on a fiat currency system, is crashing and burning, and it's happening right. We are living through history. This is a historical moment that we're living through at the moment, and we're in a short covering rally, and I just don't think they can come in and step on this thing. Who knows what they're going to do? But as I've said in my column for many years now, when this does happen, what are the powers going to do in this short squeeze? Because the margin calls are going out to the traders every day, almost by the hour now, with silver up $6. Today so far, you're talking on a 5,000 ounce contract. That's a $30,000 margin call you're going to get, and you got another margin call yesterday. You got another one on Friday. I mean, nobody has limitless pockets. So what's happening is that they're going into the market and covering the short positions, and there's tens of thousands of short contracts. I think the open interest is around 150,000 contracts in silver right now, and the shorts are out there trying to cover before they go bankrupt. It's as simple as that, and that's what we're seeing today. This could go on for a long time, and I don't know whether or not the powers that be are going to step in or not. But the CME group and the CFTC are going to be doing something, whether raise the margin calls or whatever. But like I said, we are living in historic times. Don't ask me what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day, or the next day. But, all we can do is sit back and enjoy the ride and hope that they take their foot off the shares so that we can enjoy the benefits of a higher silver price that all of us have been waiting for years and years, and some of us decades, to come to fruition.
In a market defined by artificial ceilings and invisible barriers, EdSteer believes we are witnessing a once-in-a-century transition where physical reality finally overpowers the paper manipulation. This isn't just a typical price rally, it is the remonetization of an asset that has been systematically undervalued for over 5 decades. As the Shanghai premium forces a global price readjustment and Western shorts scramble to cover their positions, the window to secure silver at double-digit prices is rapidly closing. According to Steer, this is the end of the road for the current financial experiment, leaving investors with one critical choice: hold the metal now, or watch from the sidelines as it enters a new, permanent era of triple-digit value. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to stay ahead of these historic market moves, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your support helps the channel grow and keeps you informed when the markets shift next.